Okay, hello. So we're here with Ash and the whole crew from around the country. Ash from the Plymouth Climate Emergency Centre, and he's going to tell us about an amazing project called Climate Fresk that they've been working on. So over to you, Ash.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, hi. So my name's Ash. As well as working in the Plymouth Climate Emergency Centre, I also, for the past year now, have been a facilitator for a workshop called Climate Fresk. This workshop originated in France. It's supported by an NGO called Climate Fresk, and it's really spreading at quite an exponential rate and growing quite quickly. And it's a workshop that I see as being something that's kind of like front and center of lots of CECs, almost like it can be kind of like an equivalent easily roll out, something akin to like a heading for extinction talk or something that really gets people motivated, alive to the crisis, and hopefully then gives them direction of how to move on. So I'm going to share some slides as I talk. I'm looking across two screens, so if you have any questions, please feel free to speak up and shout. Would you be able to enable screen sharing, please?
Yep, let me have a look here in participants. Ash Moore. So make you a co-host. Okay, should be a co-host now.
Oh, can you do the other one, the Ash, Plymouth and Climate Fresk? That's my laptop.
Okay.
Thanks.
Make co-host. Yep, should be now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you ever so much. Okay, so I've started screen sharing. Yeah, so I've just put some slides together to kind of talk through about what Climate Fresk is, and also we want to put an opportunity out there to run a series of events kind of in the same week, the Great Big Green Week, which is the end of September, in as many climate emergency centres as possible. So also going to talk a bit about how we could help that happen. So yeah, in my role with Climate Fresk, I'm a local coordinator for the Southwest, and another person worth looking out for who's kind of helping with this is called Robin Mincham, who Suzanne from One Worth has been speaking to as well. And he's tasked with helping Climate Fresk spread in the UK. So I'm just going to skip quite quickly through these slides. We all know that the Climate Emergency Centre is on people's minds. We know that it's pretty terrifying. Eco-anxiety is high. And one important thing is often people don't really know what to do or where to go, and people can shy away from the whole subject. So for me, the way I use Climate Fresk is as a tool to get people to have to try and face this, give them positive framing, and show that they have power, and find their specific route to do something, as well as giving some of our own ones. So what the Climate Fresk is it's a scientific, collaborative and creative workshop. It runs over 3 hours, and when you play it in person, it has 42 cards that, if you can see my video, represent different elements of, it's really hard to show at the same time, different elements of kind of like the climate system. And so that's the cyclones, industry, transportation, deforestation. It covers everything from ocean acidification, feedback loops. And what you have is you have a facilitator holds a space where people play this game and come up in their own words with the IPCC report summary, because all of this is a format that was designed in order to communicate the IPCC report to people, taking them from sometimes really basic levels up into like interconnectedness, feedback loops, and a sense that food systems and ensuing conflict, it is caused and will increasingly be caused, or disruptions to them will increasingly be caused by climate change. It's available in person, and also it is done online, but we're more interested in doing it in person, of course. So why is the Climate Fresk important? Of course, most people don't really realize how climate change is affecting them. And also, most people don't really realize how bad climate change is. And people aren't motivated to take action and can't take action when they think that it doesn't affect them and isn't terrifying. So yeah, the Climate Fresk is a workshop that increases the sensitivity of participants to take part. And for me, it was always about holding them and showing them, here's some routes to action to take place. It's based on a transformative learning model of like connecting your head, the cognitive, with the heart, doing some emotional processing. So you can fit in elements of things like work that reconnects, or active listening in there, and then hands, action, like what are we going to do about it? And it finishes with a creative brainstorm of what people are going to do in their specific local contexts. The most clear one being work with their local climate emergency centre. The aim of the NGO is to have 1 million people take part in the workshop by the end of 2023. We're halfway there. To create as many facilitators as possible to scale this. There's over 20,000 people trained to run the workshop worldwide. In the UK, we've got 350 and it's growing. I'm training a lot more people later this year. And with the CECs, I see this as the CECs being kind of a physical home where people can come into contact with this workshop. And and likewise, people will be directed to CECs because they're looking for the Climate Fresk. Some of the outcomes and reasons why I like the Climate Fresk well, it helps people understand climate change from a systemic viewpoint and really ties everything together. I've been reading thousands of articles and activists for quite a while before I came across this game, and still playing this game really changed how I saw the whole picture. It gets people, if you facilitate it right, it gets people to have quite a critical mind and avoid greenwashing and understand that these small, incremental, tiny magnitude things aren't going to do it, that you need systemic change and big things to move. And it's about preparing communities for transition. And I think the benefit is that the workshop, the Climate Fresk, can support CECs by also, after people do the workshop, like I said, they'll commonly think, what can I do? I can help the CEC, I can become a volunteer. And also, it is something that your groups could offer for money to businesses and organizations, as well as being something that we aim to try and get out for free to as many people as possible. We also do it for money to organizations as part of their, CSR, reaching goals, team building, and also generating ideas that are actually going to change their company to make them transitionable, which is the most important thing of all. Cool. That's quite a bit of me talking. So here's a little 1-minute video that just says a bit about the workshop. Although the sound's not coming through. Let's see.
Volume on.
I need to share computer sound.
Looks like a good video, yeah.
Yeah, fast and snappy. I always forget how to do this. Share computer sound.
Any tech support for the others there?
I'm just entering a password to do it.
Or should we say
climate education. And
Opa.
here we are. This is it.
Are you ready?
Face the climate emergency.
Time is running out.
We need to act now to understand why and how society needs to change.
we need education?
Or should we say climate education? And guess what? We have a plan.
The Climate Fresk is a science-based and collaborative workshop recommended by researchers, politicians, and business leaders that aims to make people understand the causes and consequences of climate change. 3 hours, 42 cards, 1 facilitator, and magic happens. Over the past 2 years, this game has grown exponentially around the world, convincing 150,000 people and 6,000 facilitators in 45 countries, and it's just the beginning.
Imagine if we could educate millions of citizens around the world to understand the science behind climate change and realize there are no other options than changing society to avoid catastrophe. Climate is changing, so can we. Are you in?
Great. Yeah, and as we're here on the video, this is kind of what you end up with people trying to make. In the first 1.5 hours of the workshop, it's building a system. The participants work together, collaborating to make a network of how climate change unfolds, what causes what. Okay. Cool. So yeah, those numbers are a bit out of date. I'm getting an echo. Hello. Okay. Oh, I'm getting an echo. Okay, yeah, that's sorted it. Yeah, so there's almost 500,000 of people played it so far. There's 20,000 facilitators, like I said. You can do it face to face, you can do it online. Yeah, and so far we've been playing it in the Climate Emergency Centre in Plymouth and also the Climate Emergency Centre in Islington. In Plymouth, we've run it, I think, for about 70 people. 45 people filled in the feedback form afterwards. Half of them said they wanted to know how they could take action and what groups they could join. So we send them recommendations to like signpost them towards, you know, whatever groups are relevant in their area, be it XR, be it a rewilding group, be it the environmental business charter or whatever, be it climate emergency centres. And yeah, it's been really useful to try and direct people towards staying with our climate emergency centre. 60% of people who take the workshop wanted to take part in more workshops. So that would be repeat visitors to your climate emergency centre coming for other things. And 20% of people who take the workshop then want to go on and become a facilitator. So that's the people who will then run this workshop in your centre for you in the future, kind of continually building your capacity. Yeah. So I'll just have a little break here and ask, are there any questions? Where are there 350 facilitators in the UK? I've got a map at the end that will show you, but I'll skip to that slide now so you can see. Any other questions?
So do people need to become a facilitator to get a copy of the game and start doing it? Is that a 3-hour training or what's the process?
Yeah, good question. So the workshop's 3 hours. To become a facilitator is another 3 hours. And yeah, and then you're ready to go, just start facilitating for anyone, be that family, whatever context you want. The game is in Creative Commons, so you can just go on the Climate Fresk website and download the PDF of the cards and yeah, play. Of course, like I don't recommend trying to play the game without having done it yourself or having done the training, but yeah, it's out there, it's available. And yeah, there's no real cost to learn this or do this. I think if you take part in a workshop through the association on their website, it's £4 to £8 per participant, which is just to cover the cost of the NGO. And training is like £8 to £15. But that's just their kind of admin fees. Likewise, if I do it for a big company, it then becomes like I'll charge kind of £100 a head for a workshop and do to a fair few people. And then we use the income from that to run it for free for community groups. Yeah.
There's a question from Dr. Nick Murray there in the chat. Welcome, Nick. How do you
put volunteers to work? Are they all volunteer to be facilitators? Who organizes them? Yeah, so it's decentralized. Generally, yeah, people get trained and then they pretty much take on finding their own participants normally and going about it. In terms of going to companies, again, it's mostly self-organized. People approach companies and ask them to do that. In Plymouth, we did all sorts of things from leaving leaflets and door knocking to get people to come to workshops. But it works really well if you find a network or an already existing group that want events like exist at climate emergency centres, or have in Islington every month now they run a workshop, and also it's advertised on the climatefresk.org website, and people travel pretty far to get there to go to those workshops because people increasingly have heard about the game.
Okay, so yeah, my apologies, I missed the beginning. So I was just wondering, so the volunteering is all about just replicating this, and there's nothing additional that volunteers do. It's like just keep replicating this further out to the community.
Yeah. There's, in terms of admin behind the scenes, the Climate Fresk NGO uses the income that it gets to employ people to support volunteers to just continue replicating it. Yeah, there's not any sort of physical infrastructure that needs maintaining and needs volunteers to do things apart from facilitate.
If we wanted to do this in Chippenham, for instance, where there are some active climate groups, but it's mostly about climate action, we're kind of doing, we've got PV schemes going, tree planting and stuff on the ground. But if we wanted to sort of do this educational piece and get it moving, would somebody from your organisation sort of come and help set it up, or we've got to sort of work it all out ourselves?
So I'm going to go on to that. Yeah. In short, both and either. For me, I'm just someone that thought this workshop was cool after coming across it in the global support XR global support Mattermost, and then just spent time figuring it out and doing it. Yeah, the NGO gave people the support they need in terms of resources, but yeah, they don't crack the whip and organize it. It's kind of self-done. But yeah, I'll go on to talk about how we've spoken about how we can roll this out in CECs, though, if that's okay, unless there's any more questions at this point.
I suppose that links into my other question. Is there any other questions anyone's got there? Okay, I was going to say, if I really love the idea, I think it's brilliant. I think it will really help to recruit for CEC and also support this workshop, which sounds brilliant. If there's a way that we can meld those two maps that you put up, and we can have a look at which CECs are close to which facilitators, and you or some others have got some time to help us do that, that would be fantastic. Then we can get facilitators to physical spaces and get workshops going.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, either me or Robin can spend the time doing that, or if anyone here is keen to help, drop your email in the chat, and then we'll sort out, yeah, finding who's in whose area and getting them to directly speak to one another. Yeah, because there's probably a lot of facilitators that don't know the climate emergency centres are a thing and haven't approached you. Cool.
Yeah, can I just ask, have you got a link to that map so we can zoom in and see if there is anything near us, because it's quite piddly.
Yeah, sure. I think I can't share that map freely because it has people's personal details.
Right.
But there'll be a way that we can do that, but I can't give you that map as it exists right now. I can probably quite easily strip out some of the personal details and do that. Yeah, but not.
Or the other way around is, how do we find someone who lives near us?
So I'm going to add a form that I'd like you to fill in, and then if you say where your CEC is and your email, then we'll be able to matchmake you. I think that's probably how we'll go about it.
Ash, we can do the course on the from the NGO, can't we, as well? Yeah.
If you wanted, if after this call you're feeling particularly motivated, all you'd have to do is go on climatefresk.org, which the website looks like this. You'd have to go and participate in a workshop, and then you can find online workshops that are at that kind of very cheap price. If you're near London, you can go to London and do some in person. If you're near Plymouth or Bristol, you can come to one of my ones that are community free ones for people. Otherwise, you can do it online, and there's online workshops every couple of days, and then there's online facilitator trainings. I'm doing some in-person ones in Bristol and London later, like in September, but there's online facilitator trainings. Here we go, like every week or so, or twice a week, I think. Every week or so.
You have to pay more for the in-person ones, do you? Or
it depends. Not really. When I do them, I do them for free.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the context. If you're a big company, you wouldn't be getting it for free. Cool. Yeah. So those are some of those questions, but we have a more specific rollout plan to help the CECs. So in terms of help, that's if I went away and we ended the Zoom call now, you know how you can go about doing this. Kind of like get in contact with me. We'll do that matchmaking, fill in the form that I'll put in the chat in a little while, or just go on the Climate Fresk website and get trained up and do the workshop. However, we have a plan. So if we go back a few slides. During the 24th of September to the 8th to the 2nd of October is the Big Green Week. Hopefully you know about this, and in your CEC you've got lots of different events planned, and you've stuck them in their map on the Big Green Week, Great Big Green Week website, so that you're getting free promotion through the Great Big Green Week. As part of this, we think it'd be really cool to get a Climate Fresk running in as many CECs as possible during the, as I'm now going to call it, GBGW. And we have a plan about how to help you do that. The basic idea is between now and then, we get expressions of interest from you, get some of you to have some trial workshops done. So you've seen it, you've experienced it in your teams, and then train whoever's interested how to be a facilitator, so you can run your own Climate Fresks during the Great Big Green Week. That's kind of like the ideal. And then also finding those volunteers and Climate Freskers around you that are in your area and don't know about you, and getting them to run it, for example, as well. So yeah, we see this, the Great Big Green Week, using that as like a kickstart for you to have this tool in your arsenal ongoing, and having that capacity to support you in the climate emergency centre you're in. What we're going to do, it'll probably be Robin, I think, is going to be kind of coordinating the whole sort of mega event, the meta event. And working with someone in each of your groups to put this together. We'll get some facilitators trained for your group. We'll work out how to get cards to your emergency centre, climate emergency centre, for you to be doing this. And you just need to get some stationery together and some tables. And importantly, get some participants together who want to partake in it. Then we play the game. And this could be any time during the week. So the general process we go through is I'm going to stick a form in the Zoom chat that you can fill in sometime later. I'll also stick it in Telegram, and it's on an email I sent out as well. If you fill in this form, it's an expression of interest to get us talking to one another, basically, so we can start knowing that you want to do this and figure it out together. When we know you're interested, the next step is to identify who within your CEC thinks this is great and wants to be involved, either just taking part in a workshop to see it or going the whole hog and becoming a facilitator. And kind of identifying who those people are. The third step will be that we need to train people. We need to give them the workshop and then give them the training, which will probably be online, unless I'm going to travel all over the UK. Maybe we can do a mixture. If people can travel as well and come together in some groups, and train you as facilitators ahead of the Great Big Green Week. Fourthly, the event itself during the Great Big Green Week, in your hub, you need to promote it. You need to organize it, saying, hey, as you're probably very experienced in doing by now, saying, hey, we've got a Climate Fresk for the Great Big Green Week. That's really exciting. All of the people on our mailing list should try and come along. If you don't yet have a physical venue, I suggest you do it anyway in, a church hall or something, using the existing resources in your community that are available as kind of like a way to recruit more people into your CEC forming team. And then finally, it's the 24th of September. Let's do this thing. The event happens. We have some workshops. People have a brilliant time. Maybe, hopefully, we get to add a few hundred more people to the Climate Fresk counter of number of total participants. So that's the idea of the process that we run through. And that's kind of like the ideal one, because then you already have capacity going. As soon as the Great Big Green Week finishes, you're ready to do more Climate Fresks whenever you want and host them within your CEC. If that that's, I think, what we should work towards. But there's also connecting people to existing facilitators that are in your area. So you'd still fill in the same form, but if we can't find anyone in your group that wants to facilitate, or there's no that time doesn't allow for it, what happens instead is we just find local people from that map I showed you that are already facilitators and ask them if they can volunteer in facilitating an event at your CEC, which you then need to schedule and promote. So you'll be scheduling and promoting it, but you won't have had to do any of the going to workshops or training in the run-up, which will make things a bit freer and easier. And you'll probably get to meet a really cool facilitator who will want to work with you ongoing. So that's another way to do it. We'll probably have a mixture of these. It could be that 40 people want to come to your first workshop, and there's 3 of you trained, and we find 1 or 2 other experienced facilitators in your area who want to come and facilitate as well. So you've got a real blended approach. So Robin's gonna probably be the person who's communicating with all of you a lot. It might be me as well. So this is just demonstrating those 3 options again of this is like you've trained a load of facilitators, or 1, 2, 3, 4, however many facilitators in your CEC, and boom, during the week they're running a workshop for some participants. Or we're using already trained existing Climate Fresk facilitators who want to volunteer and work in your give that time in your centre, and they're doing the exact same thing on your behalf, which you've promoted. Or the third option is, let's say in your centre, you just want to join an online workshop. You don't have the space yet. You can't really figure out borrowing a space from someone else, but maybe it'd be nice if the places where it's not possible, those CEC teams come and experience the Climate Fresk online, and they know that as soon as they've got the space, they want to be doing this in person too. And then, this is my final slide, just saying we've got these 350 facilitators. They're spread around the UK. As a beginner facilitator, I remember the first thing I was really struggling with was I contacted everyone I knew on Facebook, Instagram, my family, friends, and it was great. I got about 20 to 30 people to come to my first 3 or so workshops. And then I ran out of friends, unfortunately. There weren't any more people I could invite. And I was like, how do I find more people? So there's probably facilitators out there right now going, how do I find people? And what they would be what they'd love to do and are looking for is somewhere like a CAC, where there's a constant stream of new people coming in looking for education about the climate that they can be facilitating for and help them through their journey of gaining more experience. Yeah, so that's more of that pairing up. And that, I believe, is the end of my presentation. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So back to any questions.
Okay, over to the really excited. Over to the panel for questions. Helen in sunny Leeds, I think was first on the draw.
Right, so not having much to do, sort of being one of 2 or 3 running XR and trying to set up a climate emergency centre and work. How do I become a facilitator? How long does it take? I mean, I can imagine doing it once and not feeling that straight away you'd be able to do it. I know you said there's the training, but how long is it? And da-di-da.
Yeah. So the workshop's 3 hours, and then the training is 3 hours. However, there is like self-study around that as well. It depends. If you've got someone who can then coach you in your first workshop, it's pretty easy to give it a go. But if you are on your own and there's no one supporting you, there's a big facilitation guide that tells you exactly how to do it and gives you more details beyond the training, supporting you to run this thing. And it's all about finding a safe space. So maybe for your first one, you just do it, you know, to 1 or 2 friends or family, and you're still doing it. It might not be pretty and it might not be perfect, but you're giving it a go, and that's the way to gain experience. So with that said, in terms of, you know, 3 hours workshop, 3 hours training, it could be an extra, you know, 10, 15 hours of like doing things before you feel really confident. Yeah, it fits in quite naturally. It's a lot of learning by doing. But I do remember, for example, that, yeah, I spent a couple of hours reading.
Yeah, because we just had a train the trainers weekend, and there were about 10 people on it, and this would maybe be something that they'd get involved with. Just people wanting to do trainings, yeah, workshops and things.
Yeah, if you've got people that want to, it's a really nice workshop to start cutting your teeth in terms of getting more experience facilitating other things. People that, yeah, we run like, so we train students and all sorts of people that have no experience running workshops for anyone in their life, and you get them to do a Climate Fresk, and then they realize that, oh, actually maybe they love this act of running workshops with people, and then they start doing, you know, talks and whatever else, teaching people crafts, teaching people other bits of sustainability. So yeah, there's that element of, this is a way for people to gain transferable skills that help your CEC as a whole, and yeah, be leaders in a climate transition.
Brilliant. Okay, any other questions there, folks? Okay, Nick. Dr. Nick,
I was just going to say, I was just typing it in, but I thought it was easy to say it. So you may have covered it, but to me, what appeals about this is that you're trying to bring in people who aren't already converted, because I've done so many climate events over the last few years, and it's always the already, you know, it's preaching to the choir, isn't it? And it's getting those people who think this is an issue but really don't feel engaged, and you know, how to get them in the room is the question, isn't it?
Yeah, tactics. It's a good question. What I found is, when I run workshops for free for the community and for individuals, the already engaged come along.
Yeah,
you get the same people there, but then you say to them, where can we run this workshop elsewhere for you? And they go, oh, actually, I want you to put it on for my faith group. I want to put you to put it on for my neighbors on my street. I'm going to bring these other groups and these other networks along. And then you key into those and use those interested people who come to your original ones as your gatekeepers, your trusted guardians, your salespeople, to get you in elsewhere. And then before you know it, you're sat down with people who have really not engaged with climate change at all, and you've suddenly got them to build their own summary of the IPCC report and tell you how bad climate disruption is going to be. And that's when it's really effective. And similarly, with businesses, if you've got in, Nick, you're in Chippenham. If you're in Chippenham and you know some local businesses and you say, hey, do you want to come do an away day that will like boost your green credentials, and we'll run that for you at the Climate Emergency Centre, they'll rip your arm off because they'll think they'll look so good. And yeah, and they'll have a great time. You'll really help them look about what they can be doing in their business to help transition. And also you'll be engaging, because the sustainability lead or the person who made the decision to get people there cares. Suddenly you've got loads of people in the room that wouldn't normally care, but they're going because it's work, or they're going for whatever other reason. And you're getting to contact people that you never, ever would have been able to speak to. That's, I think, the biggest power of this.
The only thing that sort of concerns me, though, is because I've organised sustainable business events and network meetings and things like that before, is that it just sucks you in, and you're not getting paid at all, and you can't, you can burn yourself out and just say, forget the whole thing, I can't cope with it, because you've got to earn money to live, So
well,
I suppose that leads to a question I've got there. Can I jump in, Ash? Sorry.
Yeah, please.
I'm always in favour of kind of sliding scale things. For people who've got less money, pay more. People with more can pay more. But we do a lot of that through the centres over a lot of years. But you said, so basically on the website, I think I saw something about charging £7, or you said sometimes you do it for free. Also going to companies. So just explain a little bit more, because this is a way that either the person who's a facilitator can earn some money, or possibly some funds for the CC itself. Can you explain just a little bit? You can do it for free, but it's £7 for some. And then how much would you charge a company? Would that be, 100 quid or whatever? Just, this is a way that people can earn some funds.
Yeah. So it depends from country to country, but the general going rate in the UK for one workshop of this for a medium-sized company or something would be like 14 people partaking, one facilitator, and anywhere between £800 and £1,500. That's the sort of money that companies can afford to pay. So I think for your CEC, what you do is, you reach out to those people, and for the companies, you're not doing it for free. I mean, you could do it for free and get experience, and they'll rip your arm off, like I said, but then they'll still rip your arm off, even if you're charging them multiple hundreds of pounds for your Climate Emergency Centre, and to probably remunerate whoever facilitates it, so that voluntary work and activists who don't usually get rewarded can be supporting themselves and supporting the rest of the work they're doing.
That's brilliant. That leads my mind onto a few different things there. But
right, we're on the course with you tomorrow.
Excellent.
Get in there, look, get in there. There's a couple of ideas there. There's every area that there is a CEC that you appear in a high street or something, there's something called a BID, Business Improvement District. And that would be a list of like 100, 200, 300 companies locally that all put a little bit of money in to improve the shopping centre or the area. So maybe if people train up in this, and then they get in touch with their business improvement district and say, we offer this workshop, maybe some of them would take up on it. And the other one, I was in a moderate flank meeting the other week in Liverpool, and there was a group called, they're called Catalyzers, they're part of XR, and they go to speak to big corporations and companies and basically promise to be well behaved when they go and see them, no gluing onto tables or anything, and actually talk to senior CEOs about the climate. And they've actually been making some traction that way. Maybe it'd be good to link Climate Fresk up with them, see if you can do some for bigger corporations. Really exciting idea. I love it. I think it'd be really good to link it up with CECs. Maybe you can do us an email that we can send around the whole network and work out simple steps how people can get involved and move it forward. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice idea. Debs?
Yeah, have you already tried this out with any big companies, and have you approached any councils to take part doing it? And is there an age recommendation for doing it?
Yeah. What was the last question?
3 questions, sorry.
What was the last question?
An age recommendation. Is it suitable for children, or is it a bit scary for children?
One moment. So the age recommendation is 15 plus for the main workshop. However, there's also a kids version. Oh, that's back to front. And in the kids version, rather than talk, it like takes out any mentions of armed conflict, warfare, and yeah, and instead kind of talks about slightly safer concepts and with much easier language. And it's a bit simpler. It's about half the number of cards. Yeah. But
Super.
yeah, so and that's aimed at age 8 to 15-year-olds. But of course, it's the adults that have the power. So for me, I've run this workshop in a college for year 10s, and we did about 60 year 10s, which is good and fun. And I like that for the idea of trying to impress on young people that they might need to think a bit differently about their future, or yeah, just make sure that they're keeping their ears and eyes open about their future. But for me personally, I'm quite more motivated in doing it for adults because that's where the power lies. Yeah, and everyone always says, "Oh, you should do this for kids," but it's like, no, who's messing up the world right now and who's got the power right now? Let's not kick the can down to the next generation to think about the future. Let's do it ourselves. Yeah, and in response to your other questions, in terms of companies and councils, there's volunteers, there's other facilitators that I know are specifically targeting councils. And in Derby or Derbyshire, there's Derbyshire. Yeah, I think Derbyshire, there's been quite good engagement with the council. In Plymouth, we were going to be doing the workshop with their low carbon officers, but then they've kind of focused more on carbon literacy training. And in Scotland, we've worked with a few councils. Yeah, and I'm sure there's much more. I haven't been following too much of the national council front there. But in France, there's an increasingly big project for going for elected officials. And in Croatia, they did it with one of the ministries in the government, the environmental ministry. And then they were so impressed that they're trying to get it spread out to the whole of the different departments of the Croatian government. And then in terms of companies, yeah, like all your big ones that have done are increasingly doing this. You're like Google's, your Deloitte's. Yeah, I've played it with law firms, big construction companies, who else? Software companies, like all sorts. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're coming towards the end, but Nick Murray's got a...
Thank you.
Yeah, so actually, it sounds, you know, if you talk about councils and schools and groups and everything, that you know, it's a fairly ambitious program. And I don't know what the training's like, but I mean, how can you ensure? I personally, I lecture in environmental management and climate anyway, but how do you ensure that people know what they're talking about here? I mean, and things are changing so much, you know, with reports coming out all the time. How do you keep the materials up to date and the briefings up to date for the sessions, etc.? And how do you control all of this?
So I think that's an increasingly big question for the NGO as a whole of quality assurance. And I think increasingly we're going to look towards, I say we, I'm just another nobody, I don't work there or anything. Although I do have a membership with the AGM. But yeah, there's increasingly looking towards some sort of certification to to an assured level of quality. Naturally, this workshop works better for people who do have a bit of a STEM mind and background and are comfortable with scientific concepts. The beauty of the workshop is that you don't need to be an expert. The whole point when you're facilitating is telling people, I don't know, and I'm not an expert, but these cards are all sourced from the IPCC Working Group 1 report, and all the figures and data come from that.
Another way, I can understand that bit, but so how often are the cards updated, and who does all the background preparation on that?
So they were updated just before COP. I don't know when they'll next be updated again. They don't go into such specific detail. I think that there's much really cause for concern about things becoming outdated too soon. On the one that says carbon dioxide emissions, yeah, it says maybe 415 parts per million rather than, or 418 rather than 422 or whatever it is now.
Okay, lots of food for thought there. Really, really amazing. Thank you very much, Ash. That's really got the mind weaving. So I think it's probably time for, we usually keep it fairly tight to the hour. So maybe we should do kind of final checkouts and final thoughts. One of my checkouts would be, you know, I hope there's stuff in there about solutions that gives some people a bit of hope, because there's been too much climate doom for a long time, and we need to give the next generation and all generations a little bit of hope. So I hope that's weaved into the mix somewhere. So thank you very, very much, Ash. That was really informative. So if you can do an email from you and Robin that we can send out to the whole network about easy steps to get organised for the Great Big Green Week, we would definitely put that out and keep promoting it. That's brilliant. Okay, I'll pass over to John in Oswestry, and I'm fascinated what he's been making in the background.
Yeah, everyone always is. I'm making a stained glass window. That's what I do. So you can't see it, unfortunately. So you'll just have to take my word for it. It's really beautiful and amazing.
I thought you was ironing.
Good on you.
I think I tried that once. But, you know. Yeah, that was really interesting. Thanks. I think I'm definitely going to sign the form. So I'm looking forward to that. I sort of, funny Phoenix's comment, I was thinking, I hope it's got enough doom in it and that it's not too fluffy and just a bit, but you know, there you go. That shows how sometimes people could be on a different page. But yeah, no, that was brilliant. Thanks. It's good to listen. Just quickly wanted to say that I need to chat to someone. I think it was Jules, did you say, who's filled out this thing for grants for communities to buy their own facilities. So if I can just, I'll message you on the Telegram thing, but I have to make sure I get those details. We're just looking into filling out the form. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be filling out the facilitation form for this thing. So great. I'll pass on to Julian.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, really good. Sounds like it's sort of what I've been looking for, really, which is the first half of the Heading for Extinction course, with a sort of slightly more open-ended back end where you can do, you know, a range of different things. So yeah, really looking forward. I know Nick through Wiltshire Climate Alliance, and some of the people in Swindon are very keen to do it. So we're hoping to, you know, I definitely hope we can use this in Swindon. Yeah, thanks. So Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. Really good. Came across the website a few weeks ago, so I'll definitely sign up for the workshop now, and yeah, see where it gets to. It's be good to do it in our local setup. Helen.
Yeah, I'm similar. I heard about it not so long ago, and was quite interested. And I've just looked at your form, and the first thing it says on it is something about what you're doing in Great Big Green Week, and it's like, well, we don't know yet. So can we fill it in? How late can we fill this in and still be any use, basically? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. I'm just loading up the form to have a look at what you say. Does it, the question...
It starts with details for Big Green Week, and it's like, well, what details?
No, sorry, that's not a question. That's just saying, that's my bad formatting. It says, here's the details for the Big Green Week, and then a link to the find out more. But that isn't, yeah, it doesn't look good. But that's not a question. That's just some spacing that's come up in the form.
Oh, right. Okay. Me just being stupid. Don't worry.
Not at all.
So, I'll pass on to someone who looks more intelligent than me. Oh, God, which one?
Not me, then.
Go on, Debs, you can have it.
We might might as well do a group CEC workshop, eh?
Yeah.
Put you out for 3 hours. Yeah, pass to who's not been. Chris, have you been?
Yeah, great. Really great information, Ash. I hope I can get you to pop into Exeter once we've got somewhere for you to pop into. And also, really interesting news about actually making some money out of doing facilitation at companies. That's really interesting news. Has anybody not been? Oh, sorry, Nick. I'll pass on to Nick.
Yeah, no, I'm not really. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be saying, but
checking out or final thoughts. Over.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got you my contact, Ash. It sounds good. And we're just down the road from Bristol, so very close by. Anything that can reach out, because I've just found the frustrating thing with the engagement side of things with my own group, Zero Chippenham, has been, you know, that you always get the same people who are already interested. It's really trying to engage the people who aren't in a way that actually makes them think hard, you know, rather than just reject your message. So that's the real challenge. And if this helps, then it's good.
Sean, has Sean been? Well, who's not been?
Yeah, no, I've been. Yeah.
Okay, so
Go.
Ash, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to be here with you all. Yeah, thanks for the questions and your attention. It's yeah, wow, that time flew by. I do love the sound of my own voice, unfortunately. And yeah, glad to know that it's helpful, and look forward to probably getting to be in a room with some of you at some point and do some workshops.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ash, for coming and presenting. I'll try and upload that as quick as possible and put it out in the main Telegram chat. And if I can add the form as well. And yeah, if you can put a few comments on from this about how people can get engaged a little bit more in the main Telegram chat, that would be fantastic. All right. Well, thanks everyone for an hour of your precious time. And we will see you next Wednesday, where we're arranging some more speakers and things. So thank you very much. Have a great night. Take care.
Bye.
I haven't lined up a tune for this week. Usually play us out music at the end to get dancing. All right, brilliant. Cheers, Helen. Nice one. Gillian. Ash.
Yeah.
Okay, let's follow up soon. Stop recording.